You've probably heard that exercise is very good for your brain, but can it prevent dementia? Well, the evidence is quite promising, but there is a lot of nuance to it. Kettlebells may be more effective than you think. If you're new, I'm George, I'm an exercise scientist, and my mission is to help you live stronger for longer through kettlebell training. I have a free Age Strong guide in the description, which you can get if you're interested, but let's go through what the evidence actually says about exercise and dementia, how this mechanism works in plain English, and how all of this relates specifically to kettlebell training. Can exercise prevent dementia? Well, I'm going to disappoint a lot of you here by saying that nothing that you do can prevent dementia. There is no surefire way to prevent any disease. There's only risk management, and we can minimize our risk. We can't prevent really any condition or any illness totally. But in the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a lot of large studies on hundreds of thousands of people looking into exercise as a potential prevention strategy for dementia. So we already know that exercise can positively impact people who've been diagnosed with dementia because exercise is known to increase cognitive function. So if someone's been newly diagnosed, exercise can help to slow things down somewhat. But in terms of prevention, generally people who have been more active in mid to later life have a 20 to 40% lower chance of developing dementia or Alzheimer's during their life. Again, this doesn't mean that exercise is a vaccine or a silver bullet that's going to prevent this from happening, but it's going to drastically reduce your chances. And a combination of aerobic, meaning exercise that targets your heart and blood vessels, and resistance training, meaning lifting weights, has been shown to be most effective, resulting in about 30% less chance of developing dementia. And remember how we always say that something done consistently but suboptimally will always beat something done optimally but inconsistently? Well, the same is true here. It's long-term adherence to exercise that is going to have the biggest difference, not short sprints of exercise followed by prolonged periods of time off. So how does exercise actually work for reducing the risk of dementia? Well, obviously dementia affects your brain, and I want you to think of your brain as if it were your garden, and exercise as if it were you or the gardener. When you exercise, it waters the soil by improving blood flow and oxygen delivery, not just around the body, but also around the brain. Exercise helps you plant new seeds in this garden, in that it literally creates new connections in the brain, new neural connections that allow different regions of your brain to talk to each other. Dementia involves damage to the nerves of the brain. Exercise literally does the opposite. It promotes new growth and new connections within your brain. Exercise is also like pulling out the weeds in your garden because it reduces inflammation in the brain and actually the rest of the body, which helps prevent your cells from becoming damaged. And it pressure washes all the paths and the tiles in your garden, because when you exercise, it's not just your actual brain tissue that benefits, it's also the blood vessels that take the blood to your brain. They become more elastic, so they become younger and healthier, but your blood pressure also drops. The amount of pressure inside these blood vessels reduces, which means that your brain tissue is not getting slammed by high pressures being pumped through it with every heartbeat. So exercise positively changes not just the structure of your brain, quite literally making it more dense and more well connected, but it also alters the function of your brain as well. So your memory improves, your reaction time improves, your overall mood even improves. So how are kettlebells involved with all of this? Well, kettlebells are a really useful tool for general health and fitness, especially training from home, because they can be used to work so many different systems within your body. So there's a resistance training element like we talked about before, lifting weights. This helps preserve and even build muscle tissue and strength. There's an aerobic element, meaning that your heart is challenged, your heart and your blood vessels have to adapt positively, they get healthier. So doing things like kettlebell swings, snatches that get your heart rate up. It also improves how well blood can travel to your brain, how well oxygen can be carried to the tissues across your whole body, but again, especially in the brain. There's also a power element, so doing things like swings, doing things like cleans, doing things like snatches keeps your coordination sharp. And when we think about the neural connections, the nerves being connected within the body, this helps to preserve this exactly. It helps to preserve your nerves, helps to keep your body and different areas of your brain and body talking to each other efficiently, helps to keep your reaction speed high and your power high as well. Doing anything that's one side of the body at a time, so if you're only using one kettlebell, this engages parts of your brain called the cerebellum, and it engages the motor cortex, which again, keep these areas active and keep them working. So it really is true that if you don't use it, you will lose it. And also just the difficulty in using kettlebells. So it is a skill. You have to learn how to use kettlebells. If you're learning complex movements and complex skills, this makes your brain adaptable and it keeps it adaptable. So you can get all of that with just one piece of equipment, just one kettlebell. It can provide all of those different stimuli. Is it the most effective way of training any one of those elements? No, probably not, but it can train all of them together, which is why kettlebells are such an effective tool for lifelong strength and health. So I hope you understand how exercise can reduce the likelihood of dementia. I'll link up here and here to 2 different videos that you can watch. One is a program, one is just a simple workout that you can do if you're in need of inspiration. If you want to get the Age Strong guide, the link is in the description. You can get it for free and it will take you through 21 chapters, help you stay strong, help you stay healthy as you age. Thank you for watching. See you next time.